Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand. I am your host, Grant McGaw, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal branding and business development company. I want to take you on a journey that takes another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your personal brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand podcast series, you will be able to differentiate yourself from the competition and allow you to build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build trust, and reflect who you are. Developing your 5-star personal brand is a great way to demonstrate your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh, spelled M-C-G-A-U-G-H, at 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, M for masters.com. Now let's begin with our next 5-star episode on Follow the Brand. Hello, and welcome to the Follow the Brand podcast and TV series. Here we help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. It is a great honor for me, Grant McGaugh, to join you today and introduce our remarkable guest, Aileda Lindo. Aileda is a true exemplar of conscious leadership. She understands that the mind and body are intertwined and that true spiritual alignment lies in maintaining harmony between the two. With her profound knowledge of quantum physics, neuroscience, and epigenetics, Aileda will guide us on a journey of understanding on how our physical systems truly function. But here's the key. She doesn't stop at understanding alone. Aileda encourages us to embrace the potential of artificial intelligence and technology on a grand scale. She recognizes that the algorithms shaping our social media feeds profoundly impact our lives. She encourages us to make conscious decisions, deliberately shaping our experiences. We must reprogram our thoughts and minds to navigate this ever-evolving digital landscape. And let us not forget, the visuals we consume directly impact our mental and emotional well-being. Aileda reminds us to be mindful of what we expose ourselves to over extended periods of time. Let us now dwell into Aileda's background, which is truly awe-inspiring. As an exceptional international businesswoman, Aileda is committed to improving trade agreements and following her intuition every step of the way. But what truly sets her apart is her unparalleled ability to listen deeply and conduct extensive research. She possesses a faith-based personality that informs her actions. Aileda believes that fear is not a natural state of human experience, and she empowers individuals to make positive changes to their mental and medical health. In an era where we face significant challenges in our healthcare system, Aileda asserts that we need a human solution to address our human problem. With over 13 years of entrepreneurial experience, Aileda brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to the table. She specializes in medical practice consulting and strategy, recognizing that many doctors may lack the business acumen required to navigate the complexities of today's healthcare industry. Aileda advocates for the use of emerging technologies that holistically heal individuals and revolutionize the patient experience. She emphasizes the importance of conscious awareness and corporate decision-making, propelling us toward extraordinary new experience. Get ready for an enlightening conversation as we embark on this transformative journey with Ask Aileda. Together, we will explore the realm of conscious leadership and its potential to reshape our lives and businesses. Aileda's wisdom, experience, and unwavering passion will undoubtedly inspire us all. It is a true pleasure to have her as our guest today. So let us give a warm welcome to Aileda Lindell and prepare ourselves for an extraordinary exchange of ideas. Stay tuned, for this promises to be an extraordinary episode on the Follow Brand Podcast, where we are building a 5-star brand that you can follow. Welcome, everybody, to the Follow Brand Podcast. I am always intrigued by the guests that I make invitations to. They accept and they come onto my show and they begin to share, I'm going to call sacred knowledge. And what is that sacred knowledge? Sacred knowledge to me is the experiences of your own life. No one will have the exact same experiences as you do as you experience them. There's a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. That becomes your uniqueness. I had the opportunity of meeting Miss Aileda Lindell a while ago, maybe a year or so ago. She introduced me to so many different people that I've had on this show. And we finally got to this point where we're going to have a discussion because she is so outstanding. I'm going to share a little bit of her magic. We're going to allow her to tell us her story, her sacred journey as she sees it on the Follow Brand Podcast. So you'd like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Aileda. It's nice to meet or not meet, but see everyone, I guess, virtually out there and beyond. I'll imagine it. Oh, it's always so fun talking to you. I feel like, the pregame, we go so deep down the rabbit hole. It's fun because my passions are neuroscience, quantum physics, epigenetics. I have a tremendous amount of business background also. So that has woven in to a lot of, like you said, my sacred spiritual journey, right? My journey throughout my life and the different experiences that I've had along the way, many of those being in business as well as personal, right? And I always tell people, you can think that those two don't sync up, but I promise you they sync up. You can't have, they're not separate. It's all one and the same. So really just educating people about that is really important to me. Conscious leadership, business leadership, period, conscious leadership is really at the heart of what I'm saying right now in the world. The reason for that is because I believe that a good chunk of history has repeated itself because our subconscious mind is primarily controlling our operational units or our physical bodies on autopilot. Our subconscious mind is they say, and when I say they say, so Psychology Today, right, did an article, and Time Magazine in 2015 also did an article, and that was their brain science. It was June of 2015 article, and it said that according to the psychology and all of the psychology groups coming together could figure out our consciousness level is running on autopilot 95% of the time, our subconscious mind on average as a humanity. And so that's repeat patterns, repeat programs just on autopilot. We just let the brain, we kind of check out and let the brain make all those executive decisions for us. And it's usually then all of the same ones, right? So it's just things like that, Grant, and educating people. I'm okay, conscious mind, I would equate to the spirit, the human spirit, if we take it there, because it's not until we're conscious and consciously aware that we can make new choices and new decisions in our lives. And so that's why I say, mind, body, spirit might sound like a good order, but it's not the actual physical functioning way that it should be. And that's not the order. It should be spirit, then mind, then body.
Well, that's the way it actually is. your body is not giving rise to your mind. Your mind is not giving rise to your spirit. Life force is something I think we have trouble defining, even in our age that we are in now. What is life force? What is life force originally? And I know that you talk about some of these things. I want to get a better definition, because you said something very good. I know this is passionate to your heart. Conscious leadership. When people invite you onto a TEDx environment, or they invite you onto a podcast, or they invite you to speak in front of a crowd of people, they're tuning into Aileda. What exactly are they tuning into? Why are they so interested in this conscious leadership?
I believe because we have a lot of people who are wanting to be conscious leaders, right? Or what I'm saying to them really resonates because I'm able to give an analogy or something that makes sense to them about how our physical systems work. And once you take, and give somebody knowledge, and then they're able to even continue to grow and research more, figure out more on their own, then that kind of kicks everything up to a whole new level. Once you start understanding there's so much more to the world than maybe you thought before, then I think you're ready. I think and I think we have a lot of young leaders also coming through who are stepping into this place and state of being. And I know a lot of high level thinking youth that are, they want to know this. They thrive on this. And it's not just the youth. Everybody can thrive on this information. And so I tell people, use AI and technology to your advantage. Use it as a resource and as a tool. And I don't have to tell you, because I know that you do that on a large scale. I know so many other entrepreneurs who are doing that on such a large scale right now, right? And they're feeling the benefits of using these tools in the right capacity in the right way. And so it's exciting. But some of the world gets a little bit of angst about it. And so I'm like, okay, let me just give you a brain hack right now. So let's just get out our phone, or when you get back to your phone after this talk, just go scroll through it and look at your news feeds and see what your algorithms are telling you, because your algorithms are a reflection. So use it to your advantage. This is a reflection of what I'm focused on, because it's going to continue to give me more of whatever I'm clicking on, right? And so if it's primarily negative, I need to maybe wake up and make a conscious decision to push a positive. Ooh, maybe I want to be educated about something positive today instead. Maybe I want to watch something like, all the lives being saved in the world today. What happens if I click on that? And every single time you click on one more of those every single day, you can now use your own algorithms as a tool to reprogram your thoughts in your mind.
I'm so glad you said that. I am so glad you said it. I've heard a lot of people talk, social media, there's so much negativity. I said, well, you're tuning into that. How do you, fade away from that? You've got to take control of the machine and your own mind. I used to call it, still probably call it, you walk in a coma of habits. Coma of habits. You're just unconsciously going through the routine and repetition and automation in your life with very few new things that you're endeavoring into. If that is the case, do you understand what a machine actually does? All it really does is repeat and automate all the information that it has in its database constantly. And unless it gets new input, it'll never change. So to your point, if you never ever change your feed or click on something new, engage anything new, you're going to keep getting the same information over and over and over again, which has an effect. There's a causal effect to that, cause and effect to that. So what you're consuming, and if it's, engaging you emotionally, and then it starts to engage physically, you can either feel drained or you're going to feel energized. What are you feeling? Or you might be feeling enraged. I know when I watch the 6 o'clock news, if I, consume that every day, I'm going to be pretty depressed. I'm not saying you can't be informed. You need to be informed about certain things, but if you consume that over and over and over and over again, it can begin to have a health effect. We're talking about mental health right now in our country. And where is this all going? And how can we get better? What do you have any input on that?
Yeah. So when it comes to the angst and the anxiety, and especially like how our rates spiked during the pandemic and like how incessant, everything was, and people were feeling locked into their homes, and how the reports then said that the state of mental health really diminished dramatically during the pandemic. And it has become a bigger problem globally, even right, but especially in America. And so, from my perspective, I tell people exactly what you're saying. Pay attention to your programming. But I will tell you, or not, but I'm going to share with you actually, because this is what I've had so many clients say to me when I say this to them. If I suggest, hey, how about you just like, don't consume the news, don't watch it on TV, but how about if you get your knowledge through reading it instead? You can choose a different formality or source so that you can scan it, but you don't have to necessarily like be all encompassed emotionally, like attached to it, right? And downloading it into your system physically. Because that's what visuals do, oftentimes is it will trigger an emotion. So I just tell people, they say, well, Aileda, I'm a realist, right? Like I have to get this. And I'm like, okay. And I'm going to tell you, I also am going to give you a piece of realistic information right now. And that is that there's lives being saved all over the face of this planet, like by the droves on a daily basis, massively across the whole face of this planet. There's so many lives, there's so many miracles, there's so many superheroes, there's so many things, and we're just not running around and chasing it. So that is reality. And if you don't think it is, I need you to stop and get conscious with me right now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I had this conversation on a former podcast about the exact same thing. That when we get what we call our daily news, most of the time they're reporting on what probably maybe 3% of the population experience a day. 3%. So 97% of us never experienced anything like that, but for some reason that's not newsworthy. I'm like, wow, really? That's not newsworthy to understand something like you said. There's some miracles that happen, but that's not in the news. Or there's some breakthroughs that really came through. Or there's something new and exciting that just happened today. No, we're focused again and again on but we have control now. So that's where we're utilizing technology today. I'm able to have this podcast today. I'm able to have a TV series today because of technology. And this is how I choose to use it. So you can tune in to me and Aileda and get positive information and get something that's useful to your life that you can then apply and get a different result. I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to change the conversation just a little bit because I'm curious. Yeah. I read through your bio and I see some things that you've done. And I'm like, he says, oh, yeah. And I was able to give some guidance, and you were invited to the White House to give some, information about a particular, I can't remember the exact subject matter that you did, but you got invited to the White House because of your expertise. Tell us how that story happened. What happened behind it?
Well, this is one that I get asked frequently, so I can't wait to I'm like, Grant, here's how it happened. So just surrounded by a team of great people, for one, right, who had a lot of key contacts already dialed in for me when I stepped into international business. And so that was amazing. And whenever I am in a realm of not fully understanding an arena that I just stepped into, and international business was fairly new to me at the time, right? I am a researcher, I am a studier. And so I always pride myself in really learning everything that there is to know. And so it was just international business. Essentially, it was regulations and compliance and things of that nature. And, how can we improve trade agreements? And the invite came actually through the World Trade Center.
Wow.
At the time.
And which administration was this?
It was Obama. It was 2016.
Oh, so you got to meet the president? You met him? You guys had a conversation?
It wasn't the president. It was everybody just below the president, right? Who works on these projects. But it was very insightful. It was hugely educational. It was a very small group of various different industries that came and were able to, give their input on here's where we're getting stuck. Here's where the challenges lie. And yeah.
Well, I want to know, now see, I asked that question to tee up this question.
Okay.
What is your special secret sauce? When you think about your uniqueness, your skill sets, your mindsets that have developed over time to get you to that level that you're in the White House and be able to give expert knowledge about international trade and banking and that type of thing. What would you say to that? Someone asks you, tell me about your secret powers. What are they?
Oh, I would say I follow my intuition on an overall whole. I've learned to become an incredible listener throughout my life. I pay attention when people share knowledge with me and wisdom. I'm a researcher by nature, so I dig deep if I want knowledge on a passion or something that I'm going for. So I'd say all of those things are key components that then roll it in with a whole lot of faith and moving forward in any situation in my life with perseverance in that place of being. I don't fear is not a state of being that we're designed to be in on a regular basis. Our bodies are not meant to be having what I want to touch on the word stress while we're in here today, please, because when I go into a lot of corporate environments, I hear that word flung around it can start at the top and work its way down, but the word stress. And I tell people, please don't. You can just as easily have a challenge. And how do the two physically feel different to you? Because one is going to empower you and the other one's going to disempower your body and your mind, right? Your whole shebango. One disempowers, the other one empowers. And so just making that one change in a word choice and fully embracing that can completely change somebody's physical health. And medical studies have also proven that. There was has been a 40-year study done on this, and they have unequivocally proven that the body completely responds to stress-related illnesses. They are far less when you go through a self-awareness, basically, is what they call it. Self-awareness. They have people do some meditation. It's a very standard, just routine things to kind of just start really paying attention to things. And these individuals also said and reported that they suffered less pain, less pain, less suffering, less stress-related illnesses, all of that, everything, the whole ball of wax significantly lessened. And this has been going on for 40 years. So that's why they say, we know this to be true, to be. Yeah.
Well, so you tie that into, and I hear it all throughout this conversation, the health component. And in your business, you have part of your business in your consulting work, you work in health. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing from a consultation standpoint and an application because we have a lot of people in healthcare that listen to the podcast.
Okay, well, awesome. So during the pandemic, I was subcontracted out as a business consultant for a group of practitioners in the city of New York. And then lo and behold, 6 weeks later, Kashwamo, we were in it, right? Working for a great group of individuals who are absolutely heroic and went racing straight into the ERs and just started slaying it. And so I'm just basically wrapping my arms around all of now these different practices in the city of New York and strategically having to work consciously with every pivot and change and everything that's getting called through federal, state, the whole shebango on a regular basis, and stabilizing, figuring out how we're going to, get people paid, get them remote, get them safe, get them telehealth built out, strategies around that for the individuals, like, internal medicine practices that didn't necessarily have to have staff like right on location so that you can protect them, but still help people, that. And then urgent cares that were staying open, that, they had 100 deep line every single day before the doors even open for people to get testing and staff rotating and all of that. And then 3 weeks into running out of medications, running out of PPE gear, and the doctors having no safety gear, right? And the practitioners on the scenes. It was intense. And we did a massive amount of build out and design at the same time because we had our eyes and ears open the entire time. And it's like, okay, well, if they're calling this shot, then I know it's going to impact this industry. I know it's going to impact all of these people in this adverse way. So how can I build and design something that's going to be effective and really change people's lives and keep them safer, right? And so that's like field teams of COVID swabbers that I insisted I have all medical, right? I'm like, these are medical practices. They need to have medical teams. And at the time, I remember Grant was like, hey, you could do anything and basically like stick a swab of somebody's nose. And I'm like, no, that's way too close to the brain.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so it was just like really being conscious and holding strategy, holding focus, holding support, right, for all of the people. And so out of that, I wound up having a partnership and a medical billing and a medical consulting company. And another piece of that was just realizing, wow, doctors have their businesses structured, and not necessarily are they always, like when they start a practice, super business savvy, right? And so that things can get put together with different vendors that some people really care and some people don't. And that's another thing I would say is just like, be somebody with integrity and honor in the business world. And once I realized what the billers were doing and a lot of that whole aspect of things, I was like, okay, integrity needs brought back into that piece too. So like, here we go, right?
Yeah,
like, need for this. There's a need for this. And so, so that's what I'm doing. And I know you're also in healthcare. That was another thing we had talked about before. And the whole space and just understanding patient care and the fact that we can still continue to evolve and build better, right? Build and continue, and AI and technology.
I was just about to segue directly into that because we got into that subject matter, and we both have been working with Gatherverse, which is a cause that was put together by Christopher Lafayette, talking about humanity first in this technological age that we're in. We're on the precipice of a humongous change. I call it a renaissance of change, and we're able to do some things in technology that have not been done before. And we can make dramatic change. Healthcare needs to change. It has to change because it's not affordable. I mean, the current system cannot be supported. It has to change. There's no doubt about it, because the cost, the expense to do what we're doing now is not very efficient. So if you can utilize technology to be more efficient, and that's one thing technology is very, very, very good at. It can take some processes and data-driven information and make it easier and more accessible and more accurate than just the human touch. And that's what you were able to do. You can drive costs down, and then you can begin to really hone in on some of the effects of poor health. So we can start really getting into those things. So this is where we need to, and I love how you said, we need to elevate our consciousness. We need to really, step back, let go of some things, and really see things as they are, not as we perceive them to be, so we can arrive at some different results, different approaches. And I see you as a very well-rounded individual that sees things from a 360-degree viewpoint, not just on one plane of activity, but several simultaneously. And that's great. And that's that spiritual, mental, and physical realities. Obviously, there's a huge emotional layer in all of that. And all this stuff ties together. But I think we're on the verge of really changing some things, but we're having discussion. Tell us about your experience in technology and how do you think things will begin to progress at a higher level?
This episode is brought to you by 5-Star BDM. 5-Star BDM is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for small to mid-sized businesses and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement in operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our 5-Star business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. The result is more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Please visit www.5starbdm.com to learn more and view all the episodes of Follow the Brand.
Well, I'm not going to say that I'm hugely experienced in technology because I'm not, but I am really well versed on exactly where we're at and where we're headed with everything. And I watch and I monitor that all the time. And technology, the biggest piece that I was taught during the pandemic is like who you're partnered with is a huge factor, especially in an emergent situation, something like that. And technology is something that we all should know exactly where we're at with the back end of our everything we're developing, right? And develop and design with the people that you can who really have the skill set and who have the knowledge deeply in this area on an overall whole. And when it comes to medical care, we can only get better when we start to treat the whole person and not just treat an emergent situation. And when we can have tools at the palm of our hand, potentially, right? I don't know why we couldn't have some of the most amazing medical apps on the face of the planet, right? That can take it into a realm of deep patient care that will include the whole person and capture the information, right? And really be like customer service again, right? We treat a patient, we don't necessarily treat them so super graciously, and they're there because they don't feel well. And so I think there's this whole realm of conscious business leadership. I mean, and that's my thing, right? I'm like, get me into these organizations, get me into have conversations with these leaders, because conscious awareness around what we're doing with all of these decisions is vitally important right now. And AI can literally change everything in some of these industries so miraculously and so amazingly that all of a sudden people have this amazing new experience, right? When they go in for care, and it can happen just that fast from just, oh, now somebody has a different application and a different whatever to walk people through and make sure that we're treating the entire person while they're in with us. Because they just need templates, they need training, they need tools, they need resources, right? To walk through these, like all of these aspects of a person's total care and being. They also, to your point, Grant, have to have time. Like we also run very lean, right? In the hospitals and we know like these people are sometimes just like slaying it and doing everything they can for the sometimes overload on the hospital floor that they have or whatever. It depends on how things ebb and flow. So the human care factor needs to start internally with a lot of our practitioners who also suffered probably a tremendous amount of PTSD.
But God, I can't imagine that. I talked to a lot of different Exactly. It was just people in general in healthcare through the pandemic. And so just imagine that, like in South Florida, I live in South Florida, and what you've got, you're prepared for a hurricane is hitting you. And that's usually over, let's just say it's over a 2-week total period of time. Even though the aftermath is going to be much worse if it hits you directly, right?
Right.
So imagine that you're in that state of mind for 2 years. And that's exactly what our healthcare workers have been through. They have been through in a battle, in a war, every day, not knowing where to do. All these patients are coming in. Where do you put them? What do we do with them? Do we run out of supplies? This is a mass unit like you hear about in the Army. Every day, 2 years, burnt a lot of people out. That's the last thing the healthcare needed, was to lose even additional workers that they already were short on. But it has shed a complete light on our situation of what is the condition of our healthcare system. And we've got to change. It's not a choice. It's a matter of you must do this. It's not sustainable the way it is. And we're on the beginning, not even beginning, we're probably deeper into it than we realize, what we call the tsunami, the older generation that is out. I mean, there's more older people now in America than there are younger people. How are you going to take care of that? Because as anything naturally gets older, it starts to break down in a lot of different ways. How are you going to care for an emerging population of people where you think COVID was bad? This emerging elderly population of people that have joint problems, that have spine problems, that have breathing issues, that have all kinds of other ailments. You've got to be able to take care of them in the home. Are you really prepared for that? What does that look like? Preventive maintenance, all these things, and incentives. Really got to look at the incentives. You got to start looking at pharmaceuticals. You got to look at a lot of different things, because at the end of the day, we all pay for it, whether you realize it or not. When the government is spending money on Medicaid, Medicare, and all this other stuff, that's the money that pays for all these different programs. It all comes from us working together. So this is a human problem that we need to come up with human solutions. We've got to get past them, right?
Yeah, I really love that term. This is a human problem and we need a human solution, right? And another fun fact, so our brain, right? One of the things Penn State said, like we're designing our computer systems, right, to take over a lot of the tasks or mimic a lot of what the brain can do. But it's subconscious behaviors, patterns, and tasking that it's being designed to take care of for us on an overall whole, because one of the key main things that makes our brain different from technology is our ability to be consciously aware.
Yeah. And that's a huge difference, because we're alive, right? Being alive is different from being not alive.
Well, as a human, right? As a human, because and I think they're starting to like dabble with, maybe other things could have consciousness too, in animals. And they're starting to really test on some of that, which I'm happy to see. But it's fascinating that so far they've depicted that that's one thing that separates us from everything is our ability to be conscious. And so I'm like, can't we just pivot that a little beyond 5% then of the time? Like, I'm pretty sure we can, right?
You got to turn up the dial. You got to turn up the dial. When you have
50-50, come on, y'all, right?
We got to wake up. That's what that comes down to. Don't let the outside world program everything in your life. Use it as a tool, but become really aware and begin to love yourself. You got to love yourself and be understanding. Me and you had a conversation earlier. I want to share this with the audience because I think it's something you really need to understand and embrace. Is that when we start looking at even new technology, you start talking about virtual reality and augmented reality, ChatGPT, these are intelligent tools, right? And they're visualization tools. And you begin to say, wow, we're recreating a whole new artificial world. Well, guess what? Your brain has been doing that, or your spirit has been doing that your entire life through a dreaming process, to where you are if you become aware that you're in a dream state, or you remember some of these dream states, you begin to realize that you've recreated a whole new environment that is so real that you can't discern the dream world from the physical waking world. That is an ability that has been in the human nature for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and been spoken of in many religious texts and that type of thing. That ability, the ability to recreate a world of such realism naturally is powerful. And we need to really engage in our consciousness to understand the abilities that we have innately, that we can grow and augment things with our artificial intelligence, become greater and reach our own destiny as a human species. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, let's use it to evolve us. Like, let's just evolve already. Let's get a little more conscious awareness and free choices, free will choices into play. You know, like you said, do new things each day. Don't do the same repeat patterns. You know, drive down a different road, something that makes you have to pay attention in a way that you normally wouldn't. And I just give people the analogy. I'm like, if you want to know the difference between conscious and subconscious, so conscious is when you first start to learn to drive a car and you are so hyper aware of everything that's happening around you. You like turning the steering wheel, the gas, the brake, the whatever, blinkers, right? All of it. And then you learn how to drive it. And then when you learn how to drive it, it gets passed off to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind now does that driving for you, essentially. And that's why you can drive the same road like 20 times. And then one day you go to a stop sign, right, on the same road. And you look around and you're like, wow, that house, it's beautiful. I drive this road all the time, but maybe like have not seen that before. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Because you're in subconscious mind and it's designed to be like blissful operation for us, right? It's designed to like take over and do a lot of those tasking things for us. But we're not meant to run on it 95% of the time as a humanity. That's where I think we've gotten stuck in a loop of, like they say, history repeats itself. Okay, well, I think it's just because we didn't know enough about our brain. Now we know, okay, well, this is how it works. And whoa, this is what its capability is. Okay, maybe we can get conscious because it makes sense to do that and actually start making some great change around here.
Without question. So we're gonna conclude here in a moment. What we want to know is what you got coming up, because you're in demand. So you got to ask Aileda, right? If you got to go to her website, you got to go to her website. You can see what's going on, but she's got all kinds of things coming up. Tell us what's going on in your world.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just came off of my TEDx high. So that's like the biggest, that's the biggest thing. And that's still kind of in the works. And so right now it's just a series of podcasts, right? I continue to do podcasts on a regular basis. I love doing them so much. I love being able to converse like this. And the greatest gift is getting to meet people like this. And it's the first engagement that I had with you where then I was like, okay, well, I'm for sure going to send this person to talk to Grant, this person to talk to Grant, because it's the great people all coming together and connecting together and continuing to send out all of this like knowledge and wisdom and the greatest information into the world. Right. Another fun fact about me, I'm just going to say the biggest thing for me is I'm going to be taking stage and I'm going to continue to drive home conscious awareness and the importance of it with leadership. I do have a book that's rolling out also that speaks on the topic, and it's the same title as my TEDx title was, and that's Unleashing Your Business Potential or Your Leadership Potential, How to Thrive in a Changing World. And continuing to just educate on a mass level as I possibly can on all of these topics, because a different style of leadership, I believe, was also born from the pandemic. I believe our countries, right, were faced with, let's say more people were exposed with maybe what some of our military, like you said, go through, right? And so I think there's more of a conscious awareness around a different leadership now. Compassionate, more empathetic, like you have to have those things in the equation.
Yeah, I think our leadership became aware, like, you're not just this person you see at work, that there's this whole reality beyond work that's a part of you and it affects you. Especially you got to tune in people's homes. You get to see their home life. And people of themselves spend way more time with their family, with significant others in certain settings. And they come out of COVID and like, wow, I did not know this. So there is, and that was a newness, right? There was a newness because your whole routines were changed. I can't name it. Oh, I didn't change anything during COVID. I don't know anyone like that. I think COVID not just changed one person, it changed the entire world. I talk to people all over the world, and COVID comes. I didn't, you'll think about, oh, COVID was in Australia too. Oh, COVID was in Singapore. COVID was in Japan. Like, geez, how did they get through all this stuff? And like, it changed our patterns. So of course, it's going to change your mind. Like you said earlier, you got out of that subconscious stage, right? You woke up out of the back seat of your car, and you get in. And then now you realize in the machine world, like, oh, everybody's like afraid they're going to take over the machines. They're taking over. Like, yeah. Like, if that's the case, you were really asleep. So you really need to.
Like, take the red pill in the Matrix, right?
Oh, yeah. If my Alexa starts telling me what to do, I'll be like, that's
You've gone too far, girl.
Yeah, I'm way over. Give us your website. Let us know how to contact you so we can get you booked on more podcasts and people can really tune into your service, because your consulting business is off the charts. There's a lot of people or leaders out there that need to understand this new style, this empathy that's out there. They're more conscious to see more than they've normally done in a more bureaucratic way.
Yeah. So it's I agree. So across all social platforms, people can find me at Ask Aileda, and it's ASK, and then it's A as in Apple, ILE, D as in David, A as in Apple. So at Ask Aileda, I can be found across all social platforms. And my website is www.askaileda.com. They can also message me. I'm good about responding. My team, I have a little, executive assistant who's super epic at swooping up and helping me out. And so it's good.
I have one other question, because I forgot to ask you this. I got to ask this now. I'm thinking about it. Where are you from originally?
Colorado.
Colorado, the Rockies. Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I'm from Nebraska originally.
Really?
I am. I'm from
neighboring state.
Yeah. So I'm not hearing a New York accent. I know you spent time there. I know you're in DC. You're doing all these things. Yeah. I'm curious now. Like, okay, Colorado. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yep. And I came this direction just because, there's like all this business is here, like so much stuff I had bubbling and going in New York, still do some in Jersey. It's like this whole little stretch, just kind of like the business pocket just was like, hey, Ask Aileda. Yeah. Like, let's bring her in here. We'll ask all up and down this East Coast.
Oh, no, that's a great persona. I like Ask Aileda. That has been great. So this has been wonderful. Your audience can tune into all the episodes on Follow Brand at www.5starbdm. That is B for brand, D for development, and for masters.com. This has been wonderful. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Grant.